non-for-profit community of healthcare professionals, and our
Amazing. Thank you very much for the introduction. It's very kind of you to say all that. But yeah, so thanks for everyone to join this evening. So the talk is basically explaining my journey into becoming a dentist, and I'll guide you through how it all began. You know, the ups and downs, becoming, you know, going into dentistry and everything else that came with it, and obviously I'm currently a dentist, so all the positives. So yeah. The whole thing, my aim of this presentation basically is to hopefully inspire people looking to obviously get into dentistry, who are either undergrads or in college, looking to pursue the path of dentistry, or even dentists already looking to sort of navigate themselves into what sort of niche they like the most. Obviously within dentistry there's very many specialities that you can choose from, so that's obviously the benefit of having a career as such. But yeah, let's dive into it. So I've got about 9 main topics we'll be discussing in the talk. So we'll go over an introduction of myself firstly. You know, I'll talk about my story briefly, and talk about the struggles of getting into dentistry, the challenges faced, the lessons learned. You know, obviously why dentistry? You know, why pick this career over, you know, medicine or other medical professions, and deciding why it's the right fit for you. Qualifications needed to get into dental school. You know, obviously this is a big thing. You know, there's a lot of different pathways involved here, so you have many options available, and making your application stand out. You know, this is a big thing I found, even as a postgraduate entry into dentistry. You know, it's not just about your grades, and I'll be discussing all that in detail. The main thing when you're actually practicing dentistry is the transition or going from NHS to private. So this is a big thing in young dentists, I feel, that I'll be addressing as well. Like, you know, just get that confidence to boost your, you know, your skill set to dive into that sort of detailed private dentistry scene. Discovering your passion in dentistry. You know, you don't know straight away what you like, and I'll be explaining how I navigated myself into you know, my passion, what I sort of do mainly all day long now, not just your general dentistry. Tips and tricks for aspiring dental students. You know, networking, stuff like that, and you know, extracurricular learning and stuff they can get involved in whilst being a dental student or an undergrad student or even a dentist. And basically just a conclusion at the end, you know, a few take-home messages I'll be chucking in there. So basically, guys, my story itself is quite intricate. So I've mainly put myself on a platform in the last few years now, within the last year actually, about who I am and how I even came about getting into dental school. So I was actually raised in foster care. So came out of, I was born in Hackney. Never knew my family. I never knew my mum and dad. You know, I'm just going to sum this up quite fast. It's not a pity party story. It's just, you know what, I hope that you guys take something out of this, that anything can happen if you put your mind to it, and, you know. So yeah, I was raised in Hackney, didn't know mum and dad, had no stability, actually had no education to the age of 17. I had a very dysfunctional upbringing. You know, got involved in a lot of problems growing up. Luckily, I had a few positive influences around me that sort of pushed me in the right direction when it was needed, you know. I overcame a lot of chaotic problems, you know, a lot of setbacks as a child, which led to more issues. Yes, for that. was in and out about 10 foster families. Obviously with this situation, there's no sort of idea about education. You don't know what you're doing in your life. You don't know what you want. And so, what is the goal? There's no one telling you what you're supposed to be doing when you're a teenager, or what you got to be applying for and pushing you. So I had to find this out myself eventually. I'm gonna tie in something here, which basically I balance in my day-to-day life as a dentist currently, and then as a guy, I feel all men and women should be, is fitness. I started very young, and this was my home, this was my foundation of discipline. So I started boxing at 10 years old, and that sort of got, I was a junior ABA champion in London. I boxed in Bethnal Green, York Hall. Started then. So yeah, that was doing that every day. I lived in the gym. That was me. So yeah, dentistry was not even in my eyes, or even medicine or any of this weird stuff. Fast forward all that, I managed to fast track my qualifications somehow. I had a lovely foster father called David. Unfortunately, bless him, he's passed away now, but he guided me a lot when it was needed. And this man sort of inspired me to say, Riaz, listen, man, like there's a career out there that you could pursue. He was actually having a lot of treatment done in Guy's Hospital in London, a lot of cosmetic restorative work, building up a bridge, and he's like, these guys are doing great work there. They're helping people. Look at myself, and they brought me back to life. They made me, feel good about myself again. How about you look into finding like what the career aspects and qualifications needed? So I started to think to myself, how am I going to do everything in 1 year to get into dental school at 18 from 17 from having no education? I was involved in a lot of problems, guys. A lot of issues were going on in my life, crime problems. It's one of the. If you ever do want to check it out, on my Instagram profile, I did a podcast with dental leaders. So I'll drop in a link later, and you guys can have a little listen to that. It dives quite heavily into all this. Anyway, I managed to get my GCSEs and some A-levels within a year. Don't ask me how. Enough to get into Birmingham, but I only got into biomed. So this is my unconventional route. It was actually from A-levels straight into dental school, which is quite normal, 18 years old. So I was about 21 by the time I actually got into dental school. So I did biomedical science in Birmingham, managed to get a 2-2, and that still wasn't enough. So I pursued the overseas route into dentistry, which is why it became more complex for me. I had to learn Hungarian. So it was in Budapest, actually. It was crazy. They wouldn't, the whole thing was very, very hard. Cultural. I had to adapt to everything. It was all private fees, so I had to sort of fund myself out there. It was just like one hurdle after another for me. But you know what, guys? I feel like it's adversity strikes, but you got to keep going forward, don't you? If you got a dream. So yeah, I took all these positives and kept on going forward. I managed to actually, a lot of things happened in my last year of dentistry. David passed away. I got a divorce as well. A lot of things were going wrong. So I actually didn't complete that degree my last year. So I was so upset with everything right now. You can imagine what can go through someone's mind with all this going on. So I didn't give up. I managed to salvage all those credits that I collected and went to Slovakia. I did another 4 more years there and managed to actually graduate 4 years ago now, or 5 years ago, coming in 2021. Got my doctorate of dental medicine degree. And yeah, man, it was during COVID actually. So, there was no ceremony from me. I walked in there, picked up my degree on my own, and with my mask on and got the bus back, and then I waited for the airports to open and come back to the UK, and then it all began, man. That's it. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind of an adventure so far, but all those moments, I feel, guys, we all had those traumas, all those dark days, even in dental school, it's hard, exams are tough, but don't ever give up on your goals, all right? Like, that's my main, take home thing here, just don't. It's all been worth it. So yeah, I always say to myself, what is your why? What is it that you feel in yourself want to give back to the world? What is your passion? Everyone's got those things that they got to tap into eventually, or they're triggered and actually I love doing that. How can I do that as a professional and earn more money from doing that? So yeah, I found dentistry, I was good at art, I was good at science, I was good at building things. So I thought to myself, this all made sense as the years went on. Obviously in dental school you do so many modules that collect to which graduate you as a dentist with so many different multi-purpose skills. This is my why, guys. Like all these patients that I see every day, in cosmetic dentistry, restorative cases, restoring smiles, function, and anatomy. This is all these happy people that I've managed to, make happy. It gives me that feeling of purpose, and yeah, it's crazy. You give a patient a mirror after doing like a really detailed surgery, and it's, you sit back and think, wow, I don't care about the money right now. I feel like that patient's smile and that energy is like it's everything. So yeah, I'll give you a few examples. Like this woman here, she was very, it's a few people resonate with me. This woman here, she actually recovered from cancer. Had she was so upset about not smiling. Obviously, it was a benign lesion that they had to remove in maxillofacial. She was left with a lot of upper teeth, removed. Very embarrassed and upset. And she came to see me. We managed to restore her teeth with a few discipline areas of dentistry. Bit of restorative work, a bit of gum treatment, removable appliances and stuff like that. So, it's moments like this where you can see, you can click and hopefully this slide will be available. You guys can click the videos and stuff and check them out. Again, this lovely lady down here, Tina, she was in a car crash. Several years she's been trying to build up that courage to come and see a dentist. Someone that she can trust, and she picked me, and it all started from then. About a year or two later, that video there shows you just the emotion that she got from that. Even this guy here, this gentleman here is called Andrew, guys. I'll just quickly sum up this case because it hit home to me. He came to see me. He was having chemo. He was recovering from a lot of from cancer. He came to see me like everything was destroyed. Cancer had eaten away at his gums. Everything was quite destructed. I gave him the options of treatment, the prices, and obviously, he was realized I can't afford it right now, but hopefully one day I'll come and see you again. I went away, and obviously it resonated with me because my foster father David passed from cancer, and we had, I don't know, it's not like it just sort of resonated. I have to help this guy, and this is the person I've become. I don't do it to everyone. It's not a charity dental store here, but it's this people like him come from my door, for example, and my aim was to help him. I didn't tell him that I was going to pay for his treatment, but I invited him back in after taking information, doing things, and I restored all of his upper teeth and lower teeth, and his reaction once I told him I'm not going to charge this guy. It wasn't about that. It was emotional. So I hope you guys can check out that video too. But there's a lot of tears that day. For my nurses, people around my surgery, myself. It's good moments like this, guys, are why should be my why. I hope you find yours with a medical career or dentistry. The purpose of this webinar basically as well is, what a lot of people said to me when I was growing up. They said to me, you're not gonna amount to anything. Well, you know what I say? It's like someone told me. Obviously, I read a lot of motivational podcasts, and one speaker himself, Les Brown, he said, don't let someone's opinion of you become your reality. And this is it, guys. You're in control of your destiny, and you've got to keep pushing forward, and don't let no one tell you can't. So anyway, back to the main source of how to get into dental school. So whoever's aspiring dentists out there who want to actually get into the dental school itself, there's a few routes. Mine actually was this area here, the postgraduate route. Again, I got my bachelor's in biomedical science. I went down this route and got into dentistry route. Most people would choose this sort of avenue, which is the GCSEs and the A-level equivalent route. You're about 16, 17, 18. You get your qualifications and move off. There are several other alternative routes, but these are the main ones here, guys. Obviously, GCSEs, you're looking at around probably 12 plus GCSEs at A's and B's now, predominantly A's. A levels, AAA, the expectations are so high, mainly in the sciences, biology and chemistry. I think it's even more than that now. I think it's like 5 A's, or I don't know. It's very high. So each university has different requirements. So make sure you guys check out that on the websites like King's College London, Queen Mary's. You've got Portsmouth University, Bristol. All these good dental schools have different criteria. So it's always worth checking out their pages and stuff, or emailing the admin departments. A lot of postgrad entry actually is in 2-1s, which is about 60% in your bachelor's degree. or above. Yeah, and then obviously with that comes, you've got a chance of getting to postgrad dentistry, which is also an option there. Again, with that, you're going to have to be doing a UK CAT exam, so that's another thing you guys need to look into. This is what I want to put emphasis on here, this part here, the work experience and personal statement area. And, I find that you can be amazing in all these criteria, like the qualification aspect, but if you don't have your extracurricular on point, who are you other than, a very smart, intelligent person who can revise textbook knowledge and sit an exam and do it? But what are you doing on the outside of that college or that school or that university? Who are you as a person? I feel like dentists or professors at universities want to know who you are, what interests you have, what sort of activities are you doing outside, other things that give you an over-rounded appearance as a good applicant for that they want to take on. Shadowing dentists is a huge thing. Work experience, getting involved in different local community practices, NHS practices, private practices, seeing how it operates from different angles. Will give you an idea of where what your passion is. I always say to dentists as well, like in the first few years you come out of dental school, I say get your bread and butter with your NHS. You're doing your fillings, your extractions, your scale and polishes, and your dentures and stuff, and your bridge work, crowns. This is where you learn, and you make mistakes naturally, but you tidy it up to then sort of level up and go into private dentistry, which the demands are a lot more, and obviously you're charging a lot more. So yeah, this is essential here. Also, when you apply into dental school, even when you apply into like your jobs, your first year DFT, your foundation training, you got to show your principal your dentist who you apply that you're motivated, you're resilient. And what have you done during dental school that will separate you from other dental graduates? That's what I say. If I did a practice and I had 10 people in front of me, I'm going to pick the one that is, has done so much in dental school. They're part of that community, that committee. That they've done that. There's so many things that can separate someone. And I'll be talking about what I've done personally over the years. Your CV itself, it should be brief and precise and accurate. You can zoom into this, guys, if it's on. I'll be uploading the file after the presentation somewhere. Your qualifications should be easily read. People are going to be skimming through this really fast. They don't want to be sitting there reading loads of CV pages. So make it nice, brief, and concise, all right? And also easily readable, nice font. It's all got to be readable. I said earlier about memberships and committees. Join dental tubules. You can join these things early. Become this British Academy of Cosmetic Dentists. There's a student section there that you can join too. Get involved in what is going on in the industry before you actually graduate. You're going to put yourself in a massive, level of a playing field. So when you enter the scene, you've got an advantage. There's a lot of things you guys could be doing right now as dental students, even as undergrad students who are in like college and stuff. There's so many societies and stuff. So yeah, get involved in that. So yeah, my first degree was in, going back to my sort of pathway again. So my first degree was in biomed. Luckily I sort of like endeavored into some dental research there too. So, my passion for dentistry was growing more and more. I've done some research projects. I got involved. Like I said to you guys, when you're in college or even in dental school, be curious about research projects too. Like go and see departments in a dental school and see if you can do some like after class research with some professors. Believe me, you might actually get lucky and they'll say, yeah, how about this? I'm doing this right now. How about you come and join us, do this? And your name will be on this sort of thing. And it's another thing that you can actually update your CV. So I graduated in Slovakia. It's a big moment for me. It took many years to become dentist. So again, yeah. So extracurricular activities to strengthen your application. Like shadow a dentist. Find your local dentist, whether it be in a hospital, a local community in the high street, or even a private surgery. Get an idea of different various types of how dentistry is done in different scenes and settings, okay, with different intentions. So, it's always good to see different angles of it. I would say also like volunteer in healthcare and community work. Show yourself as a person who cares. I feel like dentistry. I didn't realize this until I started doing it, but dentistry is about giving back. It's not a lot of people choose this career because of the financial gain and the monetization that you can earn and whatnot. But actually, you know what, money will come if you enjoy giving back to the community and people around you. I found, and giving to charities, and taking part in local events and stuff like that will put you in a position where it's if you're enjoying it, money will come. And I would say get involved in your local community, guys. You can be doing that even in college. Even as a dental student, do it in your summers when you're not in dental school doing exams. Club societies. Get involved in, like, for example, research projects and public speaking. There's a lot to be doing out there. And stuff like that. Sports and physical activity. This is a bit of me now because I love this part of dentistry. I found in dentistry when I started that wellness and mindset and all this sort of thing isn't really touched on. It is a very stressful career, believe me. There's ups and downs. I work 4 days a week, but in a month I'm having half the month is stressful, half the month is all on high. So it's a very high and low career. But I find that balancing in my sports and activities, which I started young, as I mentioned, it's helped me have clarity. So when I do have clarity in my mind, my patients will benefit. So you turn up and you can deliver good dentistry that actually works, and you get the rewards from that. So find like local sports centers, get involved in the gym. It doesn't have to be lifting weights, guys. It can be anything from yoga, Pilates. It could be from joining a local marathon team. Anything that involves some sort of discipline. So start doing that as well. Learn a new skill or a language. These things are also what a lot of administrative, like dental admin departments look at before they start taking on students. It differentiates you, doesn't it? If you learn how to have new skills, it shows that you're curious and you're willing to grow and develop yourself as a person, not just as a dentist and stuff like that. I will say to students as well, like if you're in dental school, how about you put yourself in a setting where you can actually see what it's like as well? Maybe even earn some money, like maybe even apply to be a dental nurse in your summers, or a part-time sort of career, part-time thing. So when you're studying dentistry, maybe get yourself as a dental nurse job, because when you come out of dental school, you will know how the system works and functions. You'll have such an advantage in your first year of vocational training, Anyway, so yeah, I've done charity work abroad. I've worked in different places, Tanzania. Yeah, this was a funny moment. I was sitting here with this guy, and the lights went off. She pulled out her iPhone camera halfway through the procedure. I was like, this is CQC would love this situation, but yeah, it was different. But you know what? It's nice to see how things are run in different countries, and also to give back again. It's all. I didn't want anything from this money wise. I just wanted to go and see the world and help people, and I'll continue to do it in the future as well. Like I said to you, have a passion, have a hobby that you're passionate about outside of the dental chair. Guys, you do not make this your life. This is a life, it's a working career, but you have a life outside of that dental surgery, okay? So, recently I've been, I'm part of boxing clubs, gyms, I take part in competitions regularly. This is who I am, and obviously coming with that, if you can make some money and fund, give back, then give back, guys. That's what it's about. Raising money for charity, doing runs. It's just, there's so much going on out there. It just takes a little bit of research and applying for it and getting it done. I recently took part in one thing called Dente. Dente is a great dental community, charity-based community out there. I'm not sure if they allow. I think you can apply to do some sort of jobs within that sort of community, even if you're not a qualified dentist yet. So maybe check it out. Drop them an email and see what opportunities they have. I worked in Bournemouth with the rehab centre. So it was actually patients who are alcoholics and taking drugs and stuff like that, domestic abuse patients. But they were so grateful when they came in, and I feel like they received everything was just great. They really appreciated the work I was doing, and I left that day having I didn't earn anything, but it's what you feel inside, and you felt you gave back that day. So yeah, I'll try and do this now and again too. It's really good. Like I said to you guys, sports is essential. Yeah, this thing here this is my first poster in Budapest. So when I went to Budapest, I didn't have any money to fund my education or even my tenancy or anything. I made this poster, stuck it around all the Hungarian dental schools, finance schools, business schools, economic schools, dental schools, medical schools, and people hit my inbox in my Instagram and booked like classes. So there's always ways to make money and be proactive. So you know, I've always had that drive in me to keep going without, you know, in adverse moments and stuff. You know, again, like gym challenges me daily. It's a big thing for me. I need to keep pushing my mind and body. You know, that's what it's about. Don't be stagnant, okay? When you hit a stagnant path, it's hard to get up and keep going again. It's momentum. Yeah, so guys, this is a huge thing now. So NHS vs private dentistry. I find that a lot of graduates, 2 seconds, some water. I find that a lot of people who come out of dental school, you know, obviously there's a first year, it's called vocational training, VT year, okay? After that VT year is completed, even if you're an overseas graduate, it's a mentorship year. I currently did my mentorship at my dentist, the corporation, and I work in Poole. So I did my mentorship there. Again, it's fully NHS. You have a set number of UDA target. UDAs are basically, every dental treatment is broken down into bands. So band 1, 2, and 3. You know, for example, band 1 is, it could be like a scale and polish. It's very basic, like examination. Band 2 could be, you know, like a root canal extractions and stuff like that. And band 3 obviously is more higher paid NHS sort of dental work, which is like bridges, crowns, and sort of the dentures and stuff. You know, it's a very targeted based industry with the NHS sort of thing. Okay, you know, you've got to hit targets to get financial benefits, and it's hard. You see more patients in a day. So my day list was looking around 30 to 40 patients a day, from like 8 till 8 o'clock at night. It was tough for my first few years. You know, it's hard. Well, like I said to you, it's your bread and butter. It's essential that you guys do it because you can learn so much. But you know what? I never ever sort of categorized or sort of treated patients differently here. My patients the occasional patient that came through the door and I upsold an NHS treatment as a private, I would treat them equally as I did as an NHS dentist, dental work, you know, patient. Sorry. So because you know, I wanted to practice something that was complex, even on an NHS patient, you know, because it's the time to practice and learn, make mistakes. If you know, if it happens, it happens. You know, this is where you grow. But yeah, it's obviously for an NHS dentistry, it's limited cosmetic treatment. You know, you're not allowed to do certain treatments like whitening. Obviously, long-winded aesthetic treatments. You know, it's not really beneficial financially. You know, a lot of things are. You could do one filling in private dentistry, for example, for 150, 200 pounds. Imagine you have 10 fillings, multiply that by 10, for example. In NHS dentistry, it's about £73.50. You can have 10 fillings that need to be done, and you're still only getting paid £73.50. So I would say it's essential, all right? After you're ready, you might start to obviously do more courses, upskill, which you will be putting. I always say to dentists too, reinvest your money back into your career in your first few years, okay? Many years, even up to, you know, first 5 years, pump it back into it. You know, that extra $2,000 can put you on a 2-day course that can really push and make your composite bonding aesthetic skills, you know, amazing, or your oral surgery skills, you know, very, very top end. So when that patient comes in, it's very complex. You're not going to struggle. You know what to do because you reinvested in yourself. You know, I always say to people, your best investment is you, and it always will be you. So yeah, keep doing that for, you know, and upskilling, and you sort of become more valuable. You separate yourself from the normal dentist, and then, you know, then you can start going down various sort of avenues. So this is where you start dabbling a bit with private dentistry. So this is a sort of thing where, you know, patient, obviously in a day, for example, private dentistry might see, instead of NHS 50 patients, private I see probably about 5 or 6. You know, you got more time with the patient, you know, more time preparing cases and, you know, doing procedures. You can do more things like ceramic veneers, dental implants, you know, full mouth rehabilitations. You know, it's a lot more fun, I find, and also you build a more stronger rapport with the patient too, because you got more time with them and more visits. And obviously, you know, coming with that comes a more financial gain, I find. But obviously, you know, if you're going to whack a big price on something, you need to make sure that you know what you're doing, all right? Because you don't want it to fail, and then obviously you've got to refund patients, and patients leave unhappy. So make sure you're ready for that. But I would say to dentists, young dentists, just do it. There's never a right time to transition from this to this, all right? Even if you just do 1 or 2 a week, just try and see what it feels like doing, you know, treating that patient on a different spectrum, which is private. And obviously with that will come more experience setting up your own practice, you know, and obviously you'll develop more of a passion to sort of develop your own brand. You'll have more passion to sort of market yourself more on social media. And so, to make you a unique selling point identity, which is obviously comes with this here, and I'll be talking about what I did recently in the last year to marketing myself and personalizing my own brand. Obviously after graduation, I said to you guys, this is the sort of course and lane that you come out of. You come out of dental school after like all those years, 5 years. For me, it was like 12. So, it wasn't really. I came out after that. I went straight into mentoring and stuff like that. No, my mentorship for about a year. Normally, it's called VT is vocational training year, and after that, dentists normally do their dental core training 1 or 2, which is in hospitals. Okay, so I did a lot of this in Budapest and stuff, which is good. So I worked in hospitals there. Worked in oral maxillofacial surgery wards, just doing like extractions all day, complicated extractions. It was good. After that, like I said to you guys, when you start dabbling with private dentistry, then you can start doing. There's so many courses out there. There's so many top dentists who are mentors out there. Here's a few names. Like for example, this guy here. He's one of my recent mentors, Dr. Monik Basan. There's a lot of postgraduate diplomas. I done his diploma in aesthetic and restorative dentistry. So with this sort of diploma, it's like composite bonding, like veneers, periodontal, which means gum restorative care, implants, moving teeth straightening. There's so much that sort of entails into that sort of year that I did with him. And you literally learn so much, and your dentistry changes. The way you sort of market yourself, the way your photography skills improve. It's the way you talk, your communication with your patient. It all blends together, and this is where you put your money into, guys. His course is expensive, but hey, 3 or 4 private patients later, you cover the cost. So it's all worth it. So yeah, there's loads of stuff. Enlighten is that whitening companies do their own courses, so you can learn whitening training, tooth whitening training. Obviously, you guys have heard of Invisalign. A lot of people wear Invisalign trays to straighten their teeth now without braces. There's so much out there. You just got to find what you like and what suits you. You practice on this is a pig's head, so we're doing sutures on pig's heads and stuff. And yeah, it's great. You form a great community with a group as well, and it's fun. I find dentists enjoy the little day courses, all their year-long diplomas. It's getting out of the dental chair and going into bigger cities like London or abroad and doing these fun things and learning stuff and meeting new people who have a similar sort of like-minded ideas. So it's a good community out there. You just got to get out there and see it all. Some CPD certificates there. There's loads that you sort of collecting online. Invisalign, stuff like that. So yeah, like I said to you guys, extracurricular stuff. You can be doing this stuff whilst you're applying for dentistry in your 6th form or college. Even when you're a dental student, you can be doing this, in your summers when you're not doing nothing, you're sitting at home thinking, what the hell can I be doing right now? Or, dental schools normally start in October. What's stopping you guys entering a school in September for an afternoon on a weekday, with your dental nurse, for example, or someone there, or just give me a little talk, about oral healthcare. Kids love it. It's good. You're giving back to the community. You're educating people around you. It's all good, and it will also, again, look good in your CV. I do a lot of lecturing too, so I started to do. This was actually a prison, in Guy's Marsh prison. So I stepped into this prison about, it's about 2 months ago now. It was daunting, guys. I was about 40 inmates in front of me. Well, I don't want to dive into stuff about, why it resonated with me, but, I was involved in a lot of stuff growing up. So walking into that prison was crazy. Brought back a lot of memories. But, I said to each one of those guys after I delivered that and finished that lecture were inspired. I never thought that all these guys would come up to me, but man, I want to get out of here and change my life. What you said up there, I can relate. I said to them, each one of you have a purpose. You got people expecting you to turn up, whether they're on the outside. You got a daughter, you got a son. You got to provide for those people, make something of yourself. Whether they're here or gone from the world, but you got to turn up, man, and produce results. Because that's, who else is going to do it? You got to make changes for the world to get better, I guess. But yeah, I love doing this stuff, and this is what it's about, guys, giving back. Yeah, coming with that, as a young dentist, I put myself out there. Awards are a big thing. not a big thing. It's a very controversial subject. People say, it's worth doing it and it's not worth doing. But I would say if you're trying to market yourself and you're trying to open a practice, or you're trying to put yourself up there and get known and recognized, then apply for awards. Why not? I was on the front cover of this one here, my local paper in Bournemouth. I opened the paper one day and the nurse was like, "Riaz, you're on the front paper." So it's cool. It's just nice. I was on the radio show there, talking about some stuff, which is nice. Again, dentistry is a community, guys. So when you come out, it's exciting. Trust me. It's not just going into like a little clinic and sitting there. There's a huge community out there, and one of the biggest ones, that sort of representation is dentistry.co.uk, and the whole dental scene is run by the FMC in the UK. It's a great community. I've written articles for them. And it's been taken very, very, very nicely and kindly by the community and people around me. So it's good. That's a good thing. Giving back again, letting people read your story, picking out points from your story that people can resonate with, and helping others. Even stuff like this, like your top 10 tips for young dentists. This is huge. So if any of you are looking to graduate soon, or even early looking to enter dentistry, just give this a little read. There's an article I published recently, which has been published recently. It tells you a lot of things, like investing in yourself, from branding yourself to social media, marketing, mentoring, networking and collaborations, hobbies and interests, signature styles, being a true authentic self. You know what I love about out of all these top 10 tips, right? My main one is being a true authentic self, and that comes in this section here. So if you get a chance to read it. And obviously in my podcast I talk about it too. I feel like a lot of dentists are scared to be their true authentic self within the surgery. They're worried about what patients will think, what other dentists will say, how they're gonna come across, whether they're charging too much, or oh my god, they're waiting for a complaint to come through on email. How about you just turn up? You've studied so damn hard to become a young professional. You deserve to be there. Your books are full because people want to be booked in to see you. You turn up. You look the way you want to look. All right. As long as you're representable, you smell good. You look good. Your clothes are clean and you speak well, and you've got that warm aura about you that patients can grip and be like, wow, I feel this person is kind and I trust them. Then you're going to keep winning, all right? Just be your true authentic self, and never also, I'm going to talk about the next thing about that ties in with this. This is more stuff like media stuff I've done, in articles, local things. I love it, getting yourself out there and for the good is what it's all about, guys. So make sure you write articles, have your say and stuff. Don't hesitate about writing your own opinions about things that obviously constructively. Don't write controversial things that could get you in problems. But yeah, write that it's going to benefit the community, okay? Podcasts. I talked about podcasts, guys. Check this out, all right? This is a lot about my story growing up, my personal challenges, a lot of my aspirations, things that happen along my sort of path to becoming a dentist, and what happened after dentistry. This guy is Payman. He owns a company in Lighton. It's one of the top UK whitening companies at the moment. So he's a lovely chap. He interviewed me for about a good hour. We talked about good stuff. Again, these two guys here, Andy Acton, they run the company Dentology. Great conversation. Again, a lot of topics were picked on that were constructive and good, and a lot of take-home messages there. But yeah, I'm going to talk about there's being a true authentic self again. So I'm going to fast forward a few things. This is it. When you know what sort of dentistry you want to produce, what sort of avenue you guys want to go down. Mine was obviously, I love the whole luxury service, the aesthetic, cosmetic dentistry. Obviously with that comes in a lot of like detailed stuff, like, it's not just about looking nice. You got to know the functionality, how things move, how things work, function, dentistry, everything. But it all ties into the whole, how you sort of portray it. This is my clinic here, like in my room actually, this is who I am. If a patient come in, I want them to feel they're in a nice setting. I want them to feel at home. If they want to sit down on these chairs, they'll sit down and talk to me about their problems, their needs, their desires, with their, what they're really uncomfortable with, and what's been putting them down lately about their smile, and how they would like to improve their smile. And it's very sort of formal, but also informal. And this is the brand that I want to push. Sort of a nice luxury service that patients leave feeling like, wow, that was a great experience. You know, it's not like a clinical white room where, oh my God, it smells like bloody like toothpaste and it's white walls and the guy's dressed in a horrible, scary white gown and he doesn't say much. Like, be yourself, you know, be sure of yourself and be confident in who you are and what you studied and where you're going with your career, right? You guys don't rush anything, just do it slowly. There's no rush. The only person you're in competition with is with yourself, all right? I know it's a very typical sort of saying, but it's so true. Just, I'm 35 right now, you know. But you know what? I've surpassed so many of my friends who started off actually when they were 25, who sort of died out when they turned 27, and they just stuck with NHS work and a few preparations. But you know what? It's about what your long-term goal is, and you know, success leaves clues. And, you know, you look around you when you come out of dental school and you look at all the people who inspired me. I look at what clues they left behind. You know, for example, patient. You know, it's another thing to do. Awards. You know. This thing's essential. If you're going to market yourself in a way that you stand out and people and you're known in the industry, and also when patients come through the door, you want to be, you know, you want to have been nominated for awards, even win awards, because patients are attracted to that sort of setting, an award-winning practice, an award-winning dentist. I feel like it already draws people into the idea of it all, you know. So again, applying to these awards there's a lot that goes into them. So when you guys do graduate, you can look into these things, you know, to put yourself up there. Again, when you come out of dental school, like I said to you guys, you can be doing some NHS work, you can be some private. You need to find out what interests you, but go at your own pace, all right? So you might be interested in surgery, you know, so that could be your niche that you want to sort of invest in, you know. There's loads of specialities, like I mentioned to you. There's aesthetic and restorative dentistry. There's periodontology, which involves just, you know, gum health and treatments, which, you know, that's a very detailed, complex sort of specialization. And, you know, you can do your year diploma, which I did, which was in aesthetic and restorative. That was about a year. You know, you can upgrade that to about 3 years for a master's, or, you know, or more. So there's a lot of things you know, a lot of different stuff that you can go dive into. Endodontics, which is root canals, you know, there's a lot of things that are out there in different avenues as once you qualify. So it's not a dead end of the career. There's always room to specialize, right? I know some dentists who actually specialize in multiple sort of disciplinaries. Actually, you know, the more disciplinaries you're actually specialized in or know something off, you can combine it all and produce you know, magnificent, functional, beautiful cases, you know, that patients are just taken back by. It's just, it all goes hand in hand. Work on your patient communication, all right? This is another thing. So when you come out of dental school, this is a huge thing too. So being able to talk to your patients well, and also learning what works for you in terms of communicating your treatment options, your prices, and also keeping it quite narrow in a form that you're not going to be waffling on, you know, talking to patients for, you know, and then, you know, there's more and more building up outside. You got to keep it short, concise, and accurate, all right? So your patient flow as well, and obviously they don't feel like they've taken all what they need to in that setting, and you know, they go home with take home sort of information to decide if they want to go ahead with treatment or not. So yeah, learn to work on your patient communication is very essential. Yeah, personal branding is huge. Social media presence and marketing now, guys. So, you know, for me, this was something that I struggled with initially. You know, you coming out of dental school, I feel like, why do people want to see my work? You know, is it really? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of amazing dentists out there. You know, how are you gonna stand out? You know, and again, there's no competition. Just if you do something, even an NHS case, you do like 2 front teeth, you build them up and make them look more aesthetic and restore like the chipped edges, and or you do some whitening. You know, you get that one case in a week that's, oh my God, I've got like a private case and it's a whitening, and the shade goes up by about 5 shades. Take the before and after and put it online. And that can draw in more external clients from outsourced client base, you know, which could come from Instagram, you know, on all these other like social media areas. Put yourself out there. Don't be scared to post anything. You know, you're not advertising to dentists. You're advertising to potential clients and patients. You know, so if you feel that it's a good case, and it looks good, and it's all functional, and it's you know, and you're happy with it, then take that leap and post it. All right. and keep on compounding those posts over periods of time. So I promise you, after like 50, 60, 70, 80 posts, people will start to, your work will improve, which is a massive thing. And also people start to take notice in you. You know, oh my God, like, and you can also like look back and think, oh my God, your work's changed so much, which is actually quite satisfying too. So there you go, guys. Just, you know, this is my platform now. I started like a year ago, and you know, look, in 1 year, it's already gone to that. And it's, I'm not looking for numbers. I'm not looking for likes of things. I just want to put reviews on there that potential clients can see my work and what other people think of it. You know, they can see what sort of work I'm doing. It should just flow, you know, and look representable, and show you as also a person who you are. Patients want to know. I feel like patients want to know who the dentist is behind the chair too. You know, as an overall person, not obviously your personal life, but you know, they're coming to see you and trust you. But I feel like some people actually investigate who the person is before they pop in. So it's also good to sort of post some things you do outside of the chair too on there, just to break it up a little bit. So yeah, I use a Facebook page and Instagram page. A lot of dentists I know also use TikTok to sort of gain following and sort of interaction that way. So that's another platform too. Google reviews are essential. You know, it's something that you can't be deleted. If patients happy, they're going to post a nice review or a bad review, and it's for the world to see. All right. So the more Google reviews you collect over the years working in one or two or however many practices you'll be working at. If you're in dentistry, you can work at multiple practices. You're self-employed. You're a self-employed associate. You can do whatever you want as long as your contracts don't sort of clash. So yeah, just work hard, produce results, you know, and kindly ask the patient if they're happy. Would you kindly, you know, in your own time, be able to write me a nice review that shows value to me, because it helps boost your sort of profile as a young dentist. And keep collecting them, because you know this is your portfolio, this is your online CV, all right. And obviously over time you sort of collect them, emails, everything, just collect them in folders, and so they're not all lost. You know, patients nowadays sort of do stories and they do, you know, shout outs, and you know, I get a lot of patients write cards and stuff, which is nice. You know, it's a nice sort of thing. You know, be present with your patient. You know, they're going to come back and see you after 6 months too. So that, you know, you've built up a massive rapport with your patients too. So obviously they like you. They're going to keep coming back for their 6-month review. So yeah, it's also good to you build up a great friendship, which I find quite interesting as in dentistry. It's not just about, they're not just people paying money for treatments. They become your friends, and that's where you know, it's a good community. I'm just going to spin through a few cases I've done. I'm not going into detail with them, but you know, this is some of the aesthetic cases I've done in the past. So, like you can see here, you're restoring functional beauty and anatomy of teeth. And like I said to you when I showed you that slide of all those patients and the mirrors, this is the satisfaction that I get in dentistry when you know you give the patient a mirror. And you know, for example, this gentleman went from sort of this case over about 5 or 6 months. We've done root canals. We moved teeth with teeth straightening 8 appliances, and obviously composite bonding, a bit of tooth whitening. And look, the results you get they're life changing, you know. And obviously, you know, I've got a sort of a trademark where I like to give my patients, with you know, the more high end sort of payments and stuff and treatments, flowers. You know, what is going, like I said to you, what's going to separate your dentistry that you produce from other dentists? You know, it's even in your own practice. You know, it's not a competition, but you want to distinguish yourself as that dentist who's different and unique, and you're providing a luxury dental service that stands out. So yeah, what is £50 a bouquet of flowers after a treatment? It goes that extra mile, and it's what your sort of your dentistry should be like, unique and of a higher sort of standard. Yeah, so every case is different. You know, when it come in, you got to break down the treatment plans. You know, necessarily what the patient needs and everything else. Just going to spin through these quickly. Orthodontics is a big thing now. You know, patients don't want to be wearing braces anymore. There's, you know, obviously everyone knows that the company Invisalign or ClearCorrect or all these other Smile White clear aligners. It's a great sort of thing. You know, you're not popping into Turkey and getting these shaven down and then things put on and things aren't functional. Things are going to fail. You know, the dentistry that you guys should be doing should be dentistry that works and it serves as a long-term functionality and aesthetics, you know, for the patient. You know, they're paying good money and they come to see you. You know, you want to keep that standard high. obviously, the more cases you do, the better you'll get. You know, you learn from your mistakes. You don't honestly, you don't be scared to make. You know, you're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna happen. Just don't go and beat yourself up about it. Make sure you evaluate and you reflect on where you went wrong as a dentist, and don't think that it's the end of your career and you need to change careers, because this is what I thought in my first year or so. I was like, this is not for me. But actually, wait a minute. How about I sit down and think, right, it went wrong there, and it went wrong there, and you know, there's various more courses that I could do to maybe focus on that error. Go and do the course, put the money into the course, do it, spend the time, and actually come back and do a similar case and smash it, you know, and produce those good long-lasting results. Obviously, you know what, it's reviews keep coming. You know, this is what will grow your brand. This is what's going to grow you as a reliable, trustworthy dentist, especially if you're going to open a practice in the future. But it's, like I said to you, it's compounding. It means it's collecting things like this over years and years, and eventually the time will come when you want to open your own place. But create your brand first before you open your own practice. Don't just come out of dental school and think, all right, cool, I've got, you know, got mum's money, I've got a bank loan, I'm just going to walk into a place and buy a lease and get the chairs in there and the, you know, the dental's team. And no, don't, take your time, learn what works best for you, and then, you know, deliver that. The time will come when you feel like, right, this is the time, and then your patients will be ready to walk into your practice. Your books will be full Monday morning, and you guys won't find it a problem getting people, because I know who you are and what sort of service you provide, and that takes time and patience. This is a full mouth rehab. You know, this gentleman came in, a lot of chipped teeth, old composite bonding, teeth weren't aligned, had gum related issues. You know, this is a multidisciplinary case, missing teeth up here in top left. You know, you sit down with the patient, you're not going to sit there and be like, listen, this is a 10 grand case, give me your money. And you've got to sit there and communicate with them precisely, and yeah, point per appointment, appointment one, appointment two, and what you're going to be doing, and how long it's going to take to heal, and what they're going to, you know, what they're likely to expect in terms of pain or healing periods of time. And you know, don't over, you know, try and sell a treatment that is going to be amazing. Make sure your standards are good, but don't oversell it. And obviously, results will show for themselves once they're completed, and hopefully, your patient's happy. Porcelain veneers, you know, once you start going deeper into cosmetic dentistry, for example, in my what I've sort of specialized in, you learn more tips and tricks from different mentors, and you know, you feel more comfortable taking on cases like this, you know, and feeling what's best for the patient for the long term. You know, stuff like this. Again, look at this case, for example. It's life-changing. You know, it's this gentleman hadn't had any teeth for the last, like, I think 10 years or plus. You know, he comes to see me, we sit down. You know, I give him the most honest approach to a treatment that I can provide. I don't want to sell him anything that is not in his financial scope. You can't, you know, you got to look at everything when you speak to people. You can't just be, you got to look at what they want to spend, you know, what their expectations are, if they've seen any of a dentist before, what they told them before. There's a lot that goes into this before you start producing results like this. So that takes time and patience. So this is what you learn in the first few years doing NHS, and obviously slowly transitioning into private work. So final tips for aspiring dental students. So guys, never give up. All right, persistence will lead to beautiful results. All right, and success eventually. All right, turn your struggles into strengths. All right, embrace your setbacks. So, you know, we're all gonna find moments when, you know, you just want to give up. You know, you feel like that exam's too hard. You know, you ain't got time to study for that, or you know, you're gonna cross that hurdle and feel, oh, I can't be bothered with this. It's just too much stress. You might fail exams. I've failed so many times in dental school and abroad and whatnot. You guys, I've briefly told you what's happened in my sort of story. But you know what? It's about persevering and being resilient, and you know, just sort of realizing what you deserve as a person and also a clinician. So, you know, have high expectations for yourself, and keep pushing forward. And just don't be scared to try new things and take risks, because, you know, eventually, if you take 100 risks, you know, one of those will work eventually. Build real connections. So this is essential. You can't learn anything if you don't speak to people who've already taken the same path as you. You know, mentorship is essential. Mentoring basically means just applying for a course and attending it for a Saturday or a Sunday. You know, you're learning from someone who's worked in the industry for like 10, 20 years, even more. And you're taking home in 2 days what they've learned, and that's amazing because they're telling you shortcuts. You're paying to learn their mistakes. So you can actually fast track yourself to a more skilled, valuable clinicians. And that's just build connections, network in the industry, turn up to events. The dental exhibitions and conferences run so frequently throughout the year. So you guys can even as students and even as sixth form students, even as dentists and postgraduate dentists, you guys can get involved in all that. Learn from professionals and the wisdom. They're the people that will allow you to grow. Keep staying curious as well. Like, I always find that there's so much to get involved in. It's never a dead-end career. Be curious. If that's interesting for you, or you have an area in dentistry or even in the profession that you can contribute to, then why not say what you want to say? But email the team who have written that magazine and see if you can forward your opinion. And obviously, if it's logical, it's not offending people, and it's inspiring, then why aren't they not going to take that and share that with other dentists? So stay curious in the profession. Keep asking questions why, and keep wanting to learn. All right. Doesn't matter how old you are, you're always going to keep learning in dentistry. Adapt and evolve. Dentistry is such a fast developing career right now. It's turning very digital, very advanced, and AI is becoming involved heavily within dental surgeries. And you want to keep on up to date with this. It's such a fast, fun, exciting time in dentistry. And you guys who are dental students or aspiring dental students, or even just coming to the end of your dental career, dental sort of school, about to enter the industry, treat it as an exciting step and just embrace it, but don't be overwhelmed by it. All right. There's a lot going on. A lot of people will tell you different things, but just go at your own pace and trust yourself. All right. And trust people around you who you want to invest your money into, like good quality mentors. You guys can reach out to me on my Instagram and ask me questions like whenever you guys are ready. Just add my Instagram at the end, and I'm happy to give you tips and tricks and people I trusted along my journey so far. It's about sharing advice and helping people, and that's what I'm about. Finally, like, feed your passion. Keep looking into dentistry, things that can, fire you up in dentistry. Keep reading magazines, articles, things that you're going to find something that actually you are very fired up about in dentistry. Not the whole of dentistry is interesting. I find a lot of it quite, mundane and boring. But you don't want to be doing that for 40 years and then retiring. You want to find out what you like early on and then slowly endeavor into it, so you can sort of focus on that when you in your clinical surgery on a regular basis. Not just wait for it every so often to be like, oh my God, it's finally I've got a composite bonding case or a ceramic veneer case has come through the door. You want to be doing that frequently if you love it, all right? So feed your passion and become more valuable to the table, and do what you want to do and stay your career in the right path. Make a real impact, help others. You got to realize, again, guys, this is like the sort of take-home messages that I want you to sort of think about, in your own time and when you're ready. So, what's your why? Why are you choosing to do this career? A lot of people choose it because they want to monetize from it. They think it's a quick, fast track career to get rich, but it's not. You're not going to get rich from being a bloody general dentist, all right? You might earn a lot of money, but the tax man takes half of it. And, eventually you just be a general dentist. So you want to reinvest in yourself, and you want to make an impact to people around you, okay? You want to help people, provide confidence, and, you want to allow people around you to live healthier lives. That's the reason why you should be doing it. If you've got an artistic sort of background, or you love science, and this is another reason why dentistry allows you to use both of these criteria. It uses your heart and your hands together to produce, long-standing results for your patients. You can be your own boss. You're self-employed. If you want a day off for a course, you can take that day off and do that course or do this and that. And also in the future, if you guys are planning to open your own practices, you can do that too. You pave the way to independence and leadership, which is essential. So you can choose to do that sort of thing as well. You're changing lives daily. I showed you guys some slides, and how those patients reacted to those small makeovers and their journey, and you know, you're on the same journey as that patient when they come into the practice. All right, you're changing their life. Trust me, you are. You know, you don't realize how unconfident they were before they met you. So you might think, all right, cool, I'm just gonna repair this whole 10 upper teeth, but actually you're repairing something that was damaged for years. And it wasn't just their teeth, it was their confidence and their ability to turn up and smile at other people around them. So yeah, it's you got to realize that's also your why. You want to change lives. You know, a future full of growth. Dentistry is evolving, like I mentioned to you guys. You got to keep up with the pace of it. You know, and obviously following your passions. You know, this comes when you start working in the profession. You start finding out what you're very passionate about, and you start following that sort of thing. Finally, guys, it's like leaving a legacy. Like you're not going to. It takes a long time to become a skilled professional. It's not going to happen in a week or a year or a decade. It's going to take years and years of craft and energy and turning up and money and investment, self-investment, even time away from your family and your friends. It's going to take it's going to take a lot out of you. But if you turn up and you can look back at your career and say, you know what, you did the best. You left a legacy, right? And that's what it's about. So. Yeah, I hope that was good for you guys, and I hope, you know, if there's any questions, then feel free to like drop me a message or anything. This guy here, you know, he's my why. Yeah, any questions, guys? Just my Instagram's over here. I'll just leave it on here for a second. Let's go back to it.
Much, that was so inspiring, so comprehensive. We do have a question from KD. I'll read it out, but KD, do feel free to unmute if you want to have a discussion. So KD said he's enjoying the presentation. And what do you mean by DOM-related issues?
What's that? Sorry?
Said, what do you mean by DOM-related issues?
DOM-related issues. DOM-related issues. Where was that mentioned?
KD, feel free to unmute if you want to elaborate on your question. I thought it was a dentistry term.
Oh, no. It's not, maybe he read something wrong, but you know, if you can unmute it, I'm happy to answer that question. Oh, no. I probably meant multidisciplinary related issues. Like, you know, every case is going to be different, but obviously, you know, if you put investment into the different criteria in dentistry, you're going to be able to sort of navigate yourself through a complex case. So, you know, that's where you learn your general dentistry. You know, that's what they teach you in dental school. Or I guess what you probably heard was the, you know, multidisciplinary sort of related issues, where you tie in about 5 or 6 factors of a case and sort of create the outcome. You know, so it could be periodontal, gum related. It could be cosmetic, root canal issues, endodontic. You tie in all those together to produce the final outcome. So yeah, that's another good thing about dentistry. You tie in so much to produce one outcome. So that, you know, it all comes together. Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, anyone who's else watching on YouTube or anywhere else, just drop me a message here, and you know, I'm happy to help anyone who's struggling on their dental path, or any questions that you guys have. Just feel free to message me. I'll answer it. Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes, we don't have any live questions on the YouTube, but yeah, please do contact Dr. Riaz if you want any more insight. That was so informative. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The stream will be live on YouTube for the foreseeable, so you can go back and watch, because there's so many gems there, a lot to take in. Yeah, thank you, KD, for being on. And yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Riaz. Thank you for putting up your social media as well. So we'll all make sure that keep up to date with what you're up to. Okay. No, I just said thank you for putting up your social media so everyone can stay up to date with what you're up to.
I'm always posting like quirky, funny stuff, or even like, you know, cosmetic procedures before and after cases, and sort of my journey so far. So it's always, you can always keep up with what I'm doing as well in the dental industry. So it's pretty cool.
Amazing.
But yeah. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening, guys. And yeah, next month we'll be back with another webinar. Bye.